Time to run 10 junk miles together.
10 junk miles.
10 junk miles.
Junk miles.
Welcome back to episode 4 of 10 Junk Miles. I'm Scott Coomer here with Katerina Claiborne,
Hello.
Aaron German,
Hopefully this is better than episode 2.
Corey Fain,
Episode 2 is the best.
and this is the special. We didn't have any food today, so it's going to be the special Jeff Rose birthday edition because today's Jeff Rose's birthday, and Jeff Rose is Corey's favorite runner.
Personal hero.
No idea who that is.
And Aaron doesn't know who it is. Aaron, what have you been up to? You weren't here last time. You watched TV. You ditched out on the podcast. What are you doing?
Just back from Boulder. I've run a couple of sea level runs the last couple days.
What does that mean?
I was
Like
at
not
altitude.
AB?
Yeah. Now I'm back at sea level.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
Altitude.
Altitude. Yeah. Anyway, I am shocked. That shit works.
so you feel
You feel
faster?
good.
It feels like I've been on taking steroids.
Really?
Yeah. It is. I am fast.
So you've changed your goals now for Boston?
Boston.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just
Sub 230?
optimistic. Cautiously optimistic.
Nice.
But I'm shocked that you run at altitude for 3 or 4 weeks and you come back down here. It's like you got new lungs and new heart. And,
What's the most vertical climb you got in a week while you were out there?
in a week?
Yeah.
I don't know. On my 20 mile run, I did 4,000 feet up
Nice.
for 10 miles.
And this is trails or roads?
This is a road.
Okay.
Took an hour and 35 minutes to do that, and then I came down that same road in 59 minutes. I was doing sub 6 minute miles.
But you were going downhill, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've never run that fast. It's just you just like blow your legs out. It's a lot of fun.
The other interesting thing that happened while Aaron was gone, I'm scrolling through my
For
phone
some
right
reason,
now.
Scott.
I'm trying to find the
Facebook.
No,
in the
I'm
middle
trying to
of our
find the
podcast.
message. I got this message from Aaron.
What happened?
And while he was in Colorado, he's talking about is it too late for me to get into the Western states?
Oh, I was
or the
really excited about
Leadville
trail
100?
running. Yeah.
No, here's a guy, no interest at all. Oh, here's what he says. Ugh, can't tell if I'm training too hard or not. Ran a trail in the foothills, fucking gorgeous. I'm talking myself into training out here for 6 months,
Yeah.
doing a 100-mile race in the mountains.
Yeah.
Super hard to get into Leadville or Western states. This is a guy that had no interest in trail running
Yeah.
or 100-mile races.
I tell you, live out in Boulder. I mean, it's crazy. Everybody in Boulder is super fit and they eat really well and they run every day.
But I mean, we don't live in Boulder, but
Yeah.
we all train because we want to go do races.
But I
in
mean,
Boulder.
you just like walk on the streets. That's just the population there. And
So-
then you go out on the trails and everybody's out there having a good time. It's 60 degrees.
Right, so next year, I'm in the Leadville Lottery. Corey's in the Leadville Lottery. Katerina, Leadville Lottery.
Yep, that's a yes.
Can I still get in it or no?
Sure.
All right.
Aaron's in the
It
Leadville
opened-
Lottery.
It opens in January. There's
Shall-
no...
Our guest today
qualification.
is running Leadville this year, too, so she'll be able to talk to
And
us.
Western states.
And Western states.
Son of a bitch.
All right, so next year,
All right.
Aaron's going into Leadville Lottery.
But anyway, I'm a big
That
believer
means you
in the
can come
altitude.
to like the party where they, they make the selections and we hang out and watch on TV to
Yep.
see if your name gets drawn.
Can I come to the party even if I'm not in the
Nope.
lottery? Okay.
No, it's for lottery people only.
Gotcha.
But that's a big development because Aaron's, he's been my friend for a long time and he's never shown any interest in trail or ultra.
Well, the trail runs I've run
And
around
you-
here have just been no fun. But I could see.
And
it
you've
being
run
fun.
some marathons, a lot
Yeah.
of marathons,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
fast, and you have the 100-mile distance in your mind as sort of like...
Well,
that's what
I just want to
need
do a big one.
a big one.
Just make that the race that year.
Okay.
Just go train.
What about Ice Age in
know.
Wisconsin? I mean, that one has...
No interest.
That's a big one.
I mean, what makes it fun is being in Colorado. you
Yeah.
know?
So you want to run a race in Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay. Katerina, what have you been up to?
Oh, really not much. I've just been trying to train. I had a really good week of training where I did a lot of miles and felt strong. And then I had a really crappy week of training where I was feeling every ache and pain and kind of slacking and complaining. So I guess they kind of even out. 2 weeks, well, less than 2 weeks until the Indiana 100. Excited, I guess. A little, I guess I'm not nervous. There's only one thing that I'm nervous about, and this might be too much information, but I don't want to get my period on the day of that race.
Funny that you bring that up.
Scotty knows all about that.
We're gonna have a whole
The period episode.
I mean, I'm just being honest. That would really suck, and
That's
it
how
would
it's lining
kind of
up.
mess things up.
Yeah.
So right now, there's nothing more I can do to improve my training, my running, but that's something that I'm keeping my fingers crossed about.
I'm gonna have to cross my fingers on that too. Then
Good.
I'll be in your corner on that.
Thank you.
But please don't keep me updated. It's not. I don't want to be thinking about that on the starting line.
Okay, I'll make sure that I just
Besides
mention
that,
it briefly.
How's your taper? Do you do a taper at all? Or
I
no?
don't know what I'm doing. I don't know.
Katerina and I each had a gigantic sandwich before this, so I think we're both tapering.
Well, and something else big happened in your life this week too, right?
No.
Nope, nothing.
What are you talking about?
Greaster.
That's just not interesting. Okay, and
Greek
Scott,
Easter.
what is going on with you?
I did a really terrible job at the Potawatomi 100.
What do you mean by terrible?
Well, I mean, I made it 60 miles and decided to pack it in. And it was a hard decision to make, but it was the right decision. And I know it was the right decision because it's kind of like when you break up with a girl and, like afterwards you feel relieved.
It sounds like you had a really shitty pacer.
No
There were no
pacers.
pacers.
It wasn't a pacer.
Oh, there's no pacers.
It was kind of the same thing that happened to me last year. And I wasn't moving fast enough to make good time. And I was looking at the clock and thinking, I can either power hike 4 more 10-mile loops over the next 20 hours, or I can call it a day and live to fight again in 2 weeks at the Indiana 100. And
Right.
So that was the decision that I made, and I actually asked for advice from Kyla. Kyla, my wife Kyla, she gave me some great advice. She said, you know what, go to bed, sleep for an hour, get up, the sun will be up, see if you move any faster. And that's what I did. And then when I started moving, I wasn't moving any faster. And so I stayed, and then I cheered for my friends for the next 35 hours. And,
Though, I have a theory about your DNF, and it has
What's
to
the
do
theory?
with
Period.
the way he had PMS.
you gotta hold it up.
It had to do with the way that he approached the race. I mean, the week before this race, pretty much all he said was, "Oh, I don't feel like running. I've never been this unmotivated to run. I can't believe I'm going to have to run this. I don't want to run this." And so I'm wondering if sort of that negative mental stance leading into the race had something to do with you being unable to finish.
I think that probably played a role in it, and I think that there's a lot of things that are overlapping. I think my friend Alfredo, who's suffering from ALS, I have a connection with that race with him. That was our first 100 together. When I was suffering, I was thinking about him. I cried a lot during that race. I thought about him a lot. I had a lot of conversations about him, and although I did look forward to the fun part of going to Potawatomi and being with those people and hanging out, that played a role in my sadness. That, there's always when you're not having fun and when you're suffering, instead of suffering and thinking about the good times and having fun, when I started to suffer, I started to think about those things, and that added an element of sadness to my suffering, which kind of compounded it and made it worse. And I didn't want to sit and think about that for another 16 hours either. So, just, another bad race, another bad day, another bad performance. There's not much more you can say
To
than
be
that.
honest, though, you could have come close to maybe getting the DFL on that one, which would have been nice since we have a guest later on.
Probably not. I mean, if I would have kept...
Or you would have finished ahead of somebody?
I mean, if I would have power walked 4-hour loops,
Yeah.
I would have finished about 4 o'clock in the morning. And, and then I still would have had another 12, 14 hours to cheer for people. But...
Damn, so you couldn't even get that.
No, I mean...
That's even more
That's
depressing.
not the point, though.
I know.
I could have gotten that. I mean, and in my mind, I've already done the race. I've already gotten that award, and this would be a performance that's exponentially longer than the performance that I had. The suffering wasn't worth the award.
Right.
And then...
Plus, you got a race in 2 weeks anyway, so...
So that's what... And I thought about what is another, 16 hours of being on my feet, punishing them while power hiking, through the forest, is that going to help me for my next race? And I don't think it does,
Right.
Anyway, it's a douchey explanation. It was a bad
All
performance.
right, Corey, you got like 1.5
Yeah,
minutes here.
Corey was at Potawatomi too, and kind
Corey?
of played a significant role.
What did you do at Potawatomi, Corey?
At Potawatomi, I was hanging out with my friends, and I saw another friend roll into an aid station with that sort of like, I'm gonna quit. I hate everything.
It's
all over.
She hasn't given us permission to use her name, but that's Jen DeSalvo.
Yeah. And I could tell by the way she was moving that there was no way that she was done with that race. So a few of us jumped in and just kind of worked through.
A few of us didn't jump in. You jumped in
A few of us didn't
in your
jump
fucking
in.
blue jeans.
Sometimes it takes a little while. You
How
can
many
just
miles
tell
did you run in blue jeans?
20 miles in blue jeans.
Why did you like cut them off? Go Daisy Duke on
I
that?
don't know. That
You
wouldn't have
rolled
been
them
bad.
up.
I did roll them up for a while. And I
That's
took my
really
shoes off. There
hippie
was
looking. That's hippy dippy. Did you go no shirt too?
no.
He had the big headphones,
Yeah.
rolled
The
up blue
headphones.
jeans, 20 miles.
Yeah, so I ended up
through the
impromptu
water.
pacing, wearing blue jeans, and
Is there chafing when you wear blue jeans?
It was. I mean,
bad?
it was a.
'Cause that's just pure cotton.
3+ hour 10 miler and a 2.5 hour 10 miler. So
Yeah, you're just moving
You were
quickly.
yeah,
hiking.
there wasn't a lot of like sweat and
Yeah.
friction. I mean, the 230 for the last 10-mile loop is pretty solid.
Did you get your runner to the finish line?
Yep,
Did she get her buckle?
she got her
I
buckle.
don't think anything else matters.
No,
does it?
it's awesome.
No.
That's the whole story.
Yeah, so it was cool to see. I was just expecting to hang out at Pop for the day, and it was fun to just jump in and.
I didn't see Corey for 1 minute.
Next time you're gonna bring shorts though, just even when you're just gonna hang out.
Yeah, how do you go to a fucking trail race and not pack a bag, man?
I don't know. That's weird.
You're better than that.
I mean, it sounds like you literally had like a rope holding your jeans up. That's what I'm imagining.
Better than that to the extent that if it's jeans, that's fine.
I mean, today you're not running at all and you're wearing pantyhose.
You know what though? Check. You know what though? This would be a good opportunity to have Levi's sponsor you.
That could be a thing.
That's a great
Just
commercial.
totally non-ultra running related
DoorDash.
sponsors.
Well, you know, there are those ink and burn
Sure,
pants
Dash.
that look like
If I-
jeans.
yeah.
You should get some of
No,
those.
they have to be. I only run in Jordash.
All right.
Is that even still a thing? Jordash jeans.
I don't know.
We'll have to ask
That's
the
the
ladies
Next.
or my mom.
Well, the other person that we have who is also a Potawatomi is our old friend who sometimes loves me, sometimes hates me, Shelley Cook.
Hello.
And me too. Shelley hates me. Well, and doesn't anymore.
We're friends again, though. All of us.
And Aaron, you never were unfriendly.
No, I'm not on the Facebook, so I don't get
she
unfriended.
vaguely remembers you though.
Yeah.
That was one of the things. What did you do at Potawatomi?
Well, I took care of 4 children and a dog for the entire day, and then had about 5 minutes to prepare for pacing Alec to his second,
Alec is your boyfriend,
who's not here,
who is supposed to be here,
who blew us all off.
who's screwing around on Facebook instead of being here.
So I paced him for 40 miles overnight.
And how did he do?
He got second place,
Nice.
21:17, 7th fastest course time.
Was that
Wow.
was that his PR?
No.
Damn it. It would be nice if you were like there for the PR and you were the pacer.
But Aaron, in trail running, it's just so dependent on the course.
Yeah.
So you would never get your
No,
PR
but I
at
meant
this
was that like
course.
his PR for this race or that's what I meant.
He's never run
he's
this
never run it,
race.
okay.
Yeah.
No. He was there last year and then must have liked it and decided to come back.
Yeah. We both loved it.
What do you love about it?
I love those hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love, and the people. I mean, it's like a big family outing.
For
You know,
me,
we
that-
we
yeah.
left our kids there for 8 hours overnight in the tent, at the mercy of all of our friends. So
Well,
you
how
know,
old are they? I want to do that with my kids.
This is like the first official DCFS warning.
20.
Next year there's gonna be DCFS creeping around the sideline.
have to edit
13.
out
The
your
oldest
last
one
name.
is 13.
Is the oldest
11.
one able to babysit for other kids?
She is.
Oh, see, I don't
Yes.
think you're breaking the law then. I think
Right.
you're all right.
Right.
Gray area. a little
Gray
bit.
area, that's all right.
Yeah, Kyle around to watch them.
There was lots of babysitters.
Right.
Was this your first time ever pacing your boyfriend?
No. I paced him at Western States last
Oh
year.
my god.
Yeah.
How did you meet your boyfriend?
Through running, through ultra running.
You guys were running partners and you paced
We
each
were
other
running
before.
partners, yes.
Oh, awesome.
And started out at Ice Age 50 back in 2011. And went on from there.
When did you start running?
I started running in 1998.
And what was your, specialty? What did you do?
I was always better at long distances. I always hated the marathon, but I liked halves. And
That kind of doesn't make sense. You were better at long distances, but you
I
hated
hate the
but you hated
marathon. It was that
but you loved the
pressure
half.
of time pressure.
Yeah.
Pacing. I hated looking at my watch and, if you were off like 2 seconds per mile,
Yeah.
it was like your day was ruined.
Oh, it's like 5 minutes. You're fucked. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just started running longer on my training runs. And
But at the time, long distances were the marathon. You hadn't run 50-mile hard
no,
miles.
I hadn't yet. But then I signed up. Alec actually talked me into signing up for Ice Age 50. He can talk me into anything. And so he can, really. So I just started, I did the Lakefront 50K as a training run, which really isn't a good training run.
Spring or fall.
The spring.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was horrible.
He's asking you because he did the fall.
Yeah.
I did
That's
the
the
fall.
only thing I know.
I did the fall too. Yeah. And yeah, we just went on from there.
So you were a road person. You became an ultra
Yeah.
person.
I'm definitely a trail runner.
Your iTunes name is Ultra Kitty.
That's right.
So where did that come from?
That was Alec gave me that name
Why?
because
Unless it's sexual, then we don't.
no, it's not. I don't know. I was whining one day in the woods that I wanted a trail name because Anastasia had a trail name and I wanted one, and I like cats, as everybody knows. You know, we have 5 of them. And so I just became Ultra Kitty.
I'll have to post the Christmas picture on the Facebook page. It's like the best Christmas pet picture ever. It's the only way you could describe it is quick. Everybody grab a cat.
Right.
So it's like 5 people holding these big cats. In the
One
Christmas
shot.
picture.
One shot.
Yeah,
was
yeah.
It was perfect.
Well, for me, there's 2 things that are really interesting about you. And number 1 is that you're really fast and you win all sorts of races, like legitimate races, not, beer mile or something like that. And then also that
legit.
you're on like this running streak and that you run every single
Oh,
day.
she's a streaker. I forgot
For
about
how
that.
long?
How many years?
Yeah.
My streak started January 21st of 2009. So
Holy shit.
it's been a while.
And what are the rules of the streak?
My own personal rule is 2 miles minimum every day.
Every
At least.
single day.
Yeah.
So you run 2 miles a day for the last.
One day I had
6
food
years.
poisoning and I went 1 mile because the United States Running Streak Association
Right, it's 1 mile,
said
yeah.
1 mile. And I said, that's good with me.
So you kind of amended the rules of your streak.
One day I was so sick. I had to.
Wow, that is amazing. So how many miles do you run on average per week, would you say?
Probably between 60 to 70.
Wow. And what are you training for right now?
Right now I have Western States in June. That's the only race I care about this year.
And
so.
you really care about that race.
I
Tell
really
us
care
about,
about that
this
race.
journey.
Well, back when I first started doing ultras with Alec, we thought it'd be really fun to put our name in the lottery after Ice Age. We counted down, we had a calendar, and we counted down to when we could put our names in, enter the lottery. And, we thought it was really fun, and I got picked. I was the only one out of all of us that got picked.
And you had never run 100 at the time.
I had never run 100.
Because that was back when you could get in with a 50.
Right. So Ice Age was my qualifier, which I'm glad they took that away because a 50-mile race does not qualify you to run Western States.
So you don't feel like finishing Ice Age 50
Right.
set you up to go run Western States?
Not at all. No. So I was pretty terrified, but I trained like the best I could and the way I thought I could, but really nothing could have prepared me for those 4-mile downhills.
So at what point in Western States does it hit you that you're totally fucked?
It wasn't really until about mile 70 and I could barely lift my legs, and it never occurred to me that I wouldn't finish this 100-mile race. And I had, several hours to process it, but yeah, I just thought I would finish. I just assumed, and it never, and I didn't.
Now, what year was that?
That was 2012.
Okay. And then you turn around in 2013 and you won the Kettle Moraine 100.
I did.
First
That
place.
was my first 100.
That was the first one you finished.
Yeah, because I was so focused on that finish line. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about time. I didn't care about place. I just wanted to finish, and it was probably my most well executed race. It was perfect. And I got lucky because the first 2 women dropped out.
That was my phone, everybody. I just received a telephone call from Hawaii, and I don't know why. But the best and worst thing about the iMac is that the phone call comes in on the thing. I don't know how to turn that feature off. And I can turn it off on my phone. I just can't turn it off on there. sorry
So
about that.
Shelley,
Yeah.
After that experience where you DNF'd at Western States, I remember when I first met you, you were always like the person who was so interested in going back. And now this year you're finally going to get to do it. And what are your thoughts about going back to that course?
Well, God, I can't wait to go back to that course. I feel like I've gained a lot of experience over the last couple of years, and I paced Alec for 38 miles last year.
Oh, right.
And so I've run the whole course. So I feel like, I don't want to say it's easy because it's not, but I just feel like I'm better prepared for it. So I'm excited. I can't wait.
What kind of special things are you doing in your training leading up to Western States?
Nothing at this point. Running really fast at Potawatomi this weekend.
Do you have any races that you're doing in preparation for Western States?
I have Earth Day this Saturday, and then I have Ice Age. And then I think I'm going to run the 50K at Kettle. Because I always
Okay.
have to run something at Kettle.
So you're going to do some shorter races. Are you going to run any hundreds before
No.
Western States? Okay.
No.
And that's the focus of your season.
That's it.
What's
Go ahead.
what's the elevation there? In the Sierra and is it
For
in
Western
Sierra?
I'm going to defer to someone else. It's a lot.
Is it like at 10,000 feet the whole race or something? Or is it,
No.
It's lower than that. It's in the mid thousands.
And it's
So
like
there's-
net downhill too, right?
Yeah,
it's like
there's
5, but it's like more than 5, but less than 8 or something. I'm just curious.
It's in that range. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's super technical.
It's technical. I mean, I've seen super technical.
Do you
so.
ever have to like use your hands to go up?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, you don't.
But so it's like a trail. But it's
Right.
just-
Super technical
Yeah.
would be hurt.
that would be hurt.
yeah.
So that's the other thing that I like about Shelley being the patron saint of doing things that are way too hard for me and failing, remarkably. Shelley's tackled a couple of the absolutely hardest races imaginable in the last year, and in Hurt and in Sawtooth. And what's interesting is it wasn't muddy at Potawatomi, but people always describe Hurt as if Sawtooth and Potawatomi had a baby, it would be Hurt. But you didn't get to see the mud, so you probably
No.
but you could probably imagine now that you've been to both.
Well, we were talking about that actually when we were out there running, and that statement that you just said, and we could see that it could be technical like Sawtooth, but gosh, those hills are, I don't know.
The hills at Hurt or at Potawatomi?
The hills at Hurt are just quite a bit bigger than Potawatomi.
Right, but the idea is if it was
Right.
if Potawatomi was a mud fest.
Oh, sure, if
and
it
you
was a
took
mud
that
fest,
mud
yeah.
fest and you threw it at Sawtooth,
Right.
It's the combination of technical and
I
wet
would
and
agree with,
slippery,
yeah, I would
know?
agree with that, yeah.
But which of the two, Hurt and Sawtooth, which one do you want to go back to?
I want to go back to Sawtooth.
What did you like about Sawtooth?
Well, I think I can finish that one. I don't think I could ever finish Hurt. It's just way out of my league.
Katarina's
sure.
going to Sawtooth this year. Aaron has run the marathon, the last 26 miles, and then went back and paced me
20
the
miles.
last
20.
20 miles. And, I have famously one of the slowest times at Sawtooth in the history of man.
But you finished.
Yeah, well, and that was one of the things that you and I talked about is I'm wondering at what point in the race do you turn and you look to Alec and do you say, how the hell did that fat fuck finish this race? That has to come through your head at some point in time, doesn't it?
I don't know if we ever said that exactly.
Maybe not
but
in those words.
I don't know that we said that,
No.
Probably
but
really
we
focused
may
on
have
that.
discussed it. But maybe, if Scott can finish, we can finish.
It's like everybody,
No.
when I was there last year pacing and crewing, everyone kept coming up to me and saying, how did you do this? Like the people that had quit. And I just like, I have no idea how
That's
they
why I
did
got
it.
into running is because Scotty ran a marathon. And I'm like, if Scotty can run a marathon,
Yeah.
I could probably do it.
Well, I always like to think that I'm in Shelley's head when she runs. We did this half
You
marathon.
are a lot, actually.
Really, at any time.
This 2 weekends ago, we did a half marathon. And I remember there's this point, like maybe like mile 6 or 6.5, that Shelley passed me on the back and I'm still on the out. And I thought maybe I'm like about less than a mile behind her. And I thought, like at the finish line, I said, hey, Shelley, when you passed me, what part of you thought, maybe first what part of you said, holy shit, I got to stick with this or Coomer's going to come and catch up to me? And she's like, well, and then I said, and then was there a part of you that thought, maybe I should just hike for a while, let him catch up to me because it'd be more fun and I wouldn't have to push it anymore.
And there actually was that point. I felt like walking just so he would catch up with
Then
me.
we would have more fun.
We would have more fun.
And there was absolutely no part of me when I saw you that thought, if I push it a little, that conversation never even happened in my head because I didn't really want to push it.
Can I ask one thing?
Yes.
Just to go back. I love the story of you not finishing. In your mind, you were definitely going to finish.
Oh, for sure.
Like, that's done. That's
Right.
gonna
You're talking about the first year of
happen.
Western States?
States. To me, that would be just absolutely like soul crushing.
It was.
Just like, did you question why you're even here? Why did I even show up?
No, I
wasted
didn't.
all my life running
No.
and I can't even do it? Okay.
No,
Maybe
I
that's just
didn't
me.
at all.
But I also like how you went back and you did the next race.
Yeah.
And of course you won it.
No, and I think that not finishing that race was one of the first things physically that I wasn't able to do.
Yeah.
So I really gained a ton of respect for that race, and I just want to go back and run it and finish it and show it respect because
Right.
I love that race.
Do you have any idea, like, do you have a goal for it? I mean, obviously your goal is to finish, but I mean, now it sounds like you're going to be able to be, like, maybe top 10 or something.
Oh, no. Alec finished in 27 hours, so
Yeah.
I just want to finish under 30.
Okay, awesome.
So,
Have you ever beat Alec in anything?
Ooh, that's a good
Yeah.
question.
Have you ever checked them?
Showing up to the podcast. should
Yeah,
definitely
she
beat
got him
him.
on that.
I am doing the podcast.
We can include all board games and other things too.
God, I don't know.
I mean, is
I'm
he
sure I
older?
have.
Do you guys
he
compete
is
with
older.
each other?
No, not really. Well, I always compete with everybody, so
I mean, you guys run together a lot.
we do.
So, and when you're running together, it's kind of implied one of us isn't going to drop the other.
Right.
Wait a second. When you're running together, is one of you pacing the other, or are you just?
Well, when we do the hard mountain hundreds, we usually are running together. But like Potawatomi, that was his race, and even if I was doing the 100, he would be on his own because, like for the shorter distances, he's much faster. So unless it's something that is scary, we'll do our own
What's-
thing.
What do you mean
But-
by scary?
yeah.
Well, like hurt. I wasn't going to be doing that by myself.
What was scary,
scary about
About hurt?
The roots?
All I know is that there's a lot of roots.
Right.
That's
Well,
the only thing I know about the course.
I felt like we were walking along cliffs, and like the trail was like 8 inches wide. I felt
Oh,
like,
so
and then
he
it
would
was
catch you if you started falling off the edge.
he wasn't going to catch me.
No.
Just having his
trip when he's
presence
not
there.
expecting
Cliffhanger with the
I'm just
glove, and
messing
he'll
with you.
let him go, and then he'll be sad for the rest of his life.
I'm
It's perfect.
surprised he didn't push me off the damn cliff. To be honest with you, I was such a baby out there.
I
But
can't imagine running for like hours and 40 miles with somebody that I'm dating, and I mean, you must run out of conversation topics. And stuff.
well, he doesn't talk ever, so I just talk.
It's perfect.
It is perfect.
He's like going about politics and about what's going to happen with.
We
the
don't
kids.
ever talk about that.
Okay, perfect.
We really don't talk much out there.
We were also
deep later.
we were also going to talk today about just running relationships with spouses, things like that. What do you got? You guys are motioning at each other.
I was just trying to tell Shelley. Well, she asked if she was boring. And I said,
we're
no.
we're deleting all of that.
You
That's
weren't
all going
boring.
to trash.
No, we just have to change topics.
So
every
I
10
said,
minutes.
no, you were not boring.
Shut-
And then I was trying to
We're
tell
gonna
her
talk
that
about you more.
We
Pretend
had a
like this
whole
was the first
discussion
I wanted
about-
that to be recorded.
Huh?
What I just said. That
It's
was
recorded.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we're live.
then I was
It's
telling
another free
her.
progress. We don't edit anything out.
Then I was telling her that to feel free to jump in from here on out.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and because the next topic is going to be about running relationships too, and that kind of plays right into Shelley's life. I mean, she has a running relationship with her, significant other, and they met running, and they run together. So let's talk about that a little bit. The question that was asked was, have you ever beaten him at anything?
Not as far as racing goes, no.
Is there-
He's just faster than me.
It sounds like what you guys need to do is a longer, like a 200-mile race.
I think I'd probably beat him.
That's what I'm saying.
I think so too.
You got to stretch that shit out. You got to convince him to do. I mean, is he like 10 years older?
6.
That's not quite old enough. Because the old man's going to break down. And that's when you step in.
So have you ever thought, what is the race that you could beat him at?
No, I've never thought that.
What if at Western States your time?
This
is
is
like
why they've been- this is why it
26:45?
I really hope it is 26. I really do.
So if your time is faster than his, will you consider that you beat him at Western States?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk
And
about
I
that a
hope
lot.
it is.
Okay. But we should also think about like what kind of a race you could go sign up to. That you like Tahoe 200. You think
Yeah,
you
like
could
some
take him in
people
that?
pick small races where they know that they'll be able to win because they're from there. Like you could do that. Like,
Aaron does that all the time.
Yeah, that's my main goal.
He's like scouring for the smallest half marathon. so
Somewhere
he
in
can get first-
pick something that's your
Mississippi.
specialty. Get Alec to sign up for
Somewhere
it
in
with you.
Biloxi.
Didn't you just win a half marathon?
Yeah, in Kansas City, yeah.
See? Like,
It was like 5 degrees outside Kansas City.
there was like 9 people in the race.
I think there was 100.
100.
Yeah. But yeah,
How much did you win by?
like 6 minutes. And a half marathon. It's a half marathon.
So it's a competitive field.
I was so far ahead that my mother didn't know that I won afterwards. She thought I was just, I finished like running. I can't tell if you guys are laughing because that's a lot of time.
I'm just imagining the 6-minute lead. You're going to have,
Yeah.
it's like a mile.
Yeah, there's nobody around.
You could have crawled it in.
Yeah, I could have cheated and nobody would have known. You know.
It's hysterical.
Oh my god.
And my mother didn't know. She was.
Right,
God
well,
bless her.
my spouse doesn't run with me. I mean, a lot of people know my spouse. She comes to the race. She crews. She did try.
She ran one race with you, half marathon.
We did a half marathon together, but that wasn't for me. That was.
It was like
for
3
us.
hours.
It was a long day. We were moved to the sidewalk. If you know what that means.
Hey,
Streets
I didn't
off.
realize Kyla had run a half
She
marathon.
has
That's
on
awesome.
her
Good job,
running
Kyla.
resume, a half marathon, and then she may not have run 1 foot since that date. That may be the last time she ran. But she loves coming to the races and being able. She gets it. Like we were talking at the race this weekend about. There's some spouses that get it, some spouses that don't. Some family members that completely understand what's going on around them, and some that are just completely clueless. And what's it like for you to be in a relationship with someone who's doing the races with you? There have to be issues like wanting to do the same race, wanting to do different races, wanting to get different pacers. I mean, do you feel comfortable saying to Alec, I don't want to use you this time, I want to use someone else, or could he do that? Or do you go to separate races ever? How does that all work?
We usually do the same races together. Or if I'm racing, he'll pace me, or vice versa. Although I did tell him for Potawatomi, I would not be offended if he wanted to use a different pacer because I didn't think I would be able to keep up with them. And he insisted he wanted me to be there, so
Have you
And
guys
you
ever,
kept up with him.
I did.
have you ever had a discussion that went, I really want to go do Wasatch, and he said, I have no interest in Wasatch, but I really want to go do Vermont. Anything like that ever happen?
Not yet. I mean, I did put my name on the bear wait list, and he did not. So
So he objected to it?
he's not on it.
So if you get in, is he going to come pace you?
I have no idea.
Well, why isn't he on the wait list?
I don't know because
If
he
he was
didn't want
here, we'd
to.
ask him.
We're
but-
not here to ask him. We're asking her. She doesn't know.
I'm not really
Fuck 'em.
sure.
So you didn't even ask him.
We do have a big race calendar this year. We are doing Leadville too.
Together.
Yeah.
Leadville together.
wow.
Western States together.
Yeah.
Anything else?
When is Leadville? Is that in August?
It's in August.
How do you make a relationship with a fellow runner work?
The relationship with Alec is just easy anyway. He's the most laid back guy in the world, so, and I'm not laid back. So, I mean, we just are a good balance.
Do you guys do like training runs together, or
We do.
Yeah.
We do training runs
like every
together.
day? Do you guys run together or no?
Not every day. Because we have kids,
I know,
so we
it's
have
crazy. I
to
can't
kind of
believe
balance
both of you
it.
run probably 60, 70 miles a week, and you have 4 kids.
Three kids.
3 kids. They're probably doing
Well, we do
dozens
have
of things, right?
the advantage of sometimes they're with their other parents.
Oh, that's okay, right.
So
right.
we have weekend. Every other weekend is our weekend.
Then you have 5 cats.
I know they're a lot of work.
And now a
It's a
dog.
shit show.
And a dog.
The dog from the Silamo race.
I live alone and work from home, and I'm just like, it's so hard to get 2 hours in of running.
What? That's insane.
So he has kids, you have kids, and then sometimes those kids go to their other spouse.
Yes.
But there's a really interesting background story to all that because you and Alec were friends and running partners before you were more than friends and running
That's
partners.
correct.
So at some point in time, you knew each other's spouses too.
Right.
So
we
how
were,
does that,
we
how
were
does that
all
happen?
friends. I don't really know exactly how it happened, but I think when you're running 50, 100 miles with someone, I think you create a bond that you don't even know is happening. And I mean, if you are in a marriage or a relationship, I think it can be dangerous, especially if your spouse or significant other doesn't get it, and then you're running with someone that gets it.
But no, in your case, they did get it, right?
Well, I mean, they got it, but
Were they both runners too?
somewhat, a little teeny bit. Not to the level we are.
Yeah.
But you didn't get divorced so that you could be with Alec.
No. My whole journey to Western States changed me in a way that I was able to admit I wasn't happy and move on.
Right. So you moved on, you go on with your life, and then how does Alec come into the picture?
Well, a week after Western States, he told me he was in love with me. So
Wow.
Your platonic running friend
yeah,
who's married to
Right.
someone you know.
yes.
It's great.
Well, that's got to just screw up your whole life.
Well, it sure as hell did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shocker. I actually told him he was full of shit. I didn't believe him, and I didn't know what to do with that information. But yeah,
But then you guys made it work.
we made it work.
Were you in love with him when he said that to you, or was it
You
like you
know,
hadn't thought about it?
I hadn't even thought about it because we never discussed our personal lives
Right.
on the trail because, like I said, he doesn't talk, and we just never talked about that.
He's not a chatty guy.
He's not a chatty guy, and
But I mean,
He would have been awesome to have on the podcast.
but I mean,
Sounds like.
he likes to talk about himself though. So
Oh,
But I mean, like here's a good example. Me and other than Tony Cesario, who didn't give us permission to use his name, me and Katerina.
We have to say that disclaimer every time.
Yes, just in case.
And then we just say their name anyway.
Just so there's evidence of the fact.
Tony.
Me and Katerina run together a lot. You know, I mean, we spend a lot of time together. Probably close to you and Alec. We've never had a conversation about whether or not we have feelings for each
Right.
other. If Kat showed up the other day and said, "You know what? You're my soulmate," I'd be like, "Fuck out of here! What are you talking about?" You know?
Did you hit your head?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's got to be just weird.
it was weird, and I mean, but I was in this relationship that was pretty empty, and so was he. I hope she doesn't listen, but it was true.
Well, if you look at the statistics, there's about 4 people that have downloaded the podcast.
Yeah, you're fine.
Most of them listened to episode 2 and quit. So
Okay,
you're all right.
That was a good episode. I don't know.
Well, we're getting
the
into
best.
deep. I had like a lot more shallower questions to ask.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
go. Let's do it.
Like you guys are like with Scotty and I were running, and I'm pretty good buddies with Scotty. He's never told me that he loves me or anything like that. But
Do you think? Wait, before we go on, do you think this is how Eric Sherman and his Scott got so close?
possible, it's possible.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
But like we get into like arguments about training methods and what's the best way to do it and how many miles if you're running too many miles. Like we'll get in like debates about this. Do you guys ever like argue about how to train for a race or what the right products to use are? Or...
Sometimes
No.
we do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a high mileage runner, and I like to run a lot of miles, and he does not do the same thing. And I don't really ever tell him he should, but I do. I do guide him to what
But
he
like
should be
because
doing.
because he's faster or something, does he say, "Well, I know what I'm doing. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You should
No,
know what I'm doing." Okay,
No,
so that's like a good relationship. It sounds like.
it is.
Who carries the toilet paper when you guys are out running together? Do you make him like?
Toilet paper. We don't carry any toilet
You
paper.
know, 'cause that's
That's what
weird.
leaves and rocks are for.
Right. We don't use it.
By the way, sidebar, Colorado has this plant called lamb's ear.
Is it that furry one?
Yeah, that is high quality. Like it's like the Sherman of the outdoors. I want to fucking package that shit up and sell it. Like it's like
an
to people
there's
like to people fucking it's like naturalistic, hippy dippy toilet paper.
How are you gonna
Lamb's
keep
ear.
it fresh in the packaging?
We'll figure that out.
Okay.
It's like that the
We'll do it
head
again.
lettuce with the roots.
Corey can figure it out.
Yeah.
You can figure it. I have 2 questions that I forgot to ask you.
But
I
Who
have
would
one
be
too.
a great guest to have on this podcast that you're friends with? Someone that you could say, "Go do it."
Can't be your boyfriend.
Can't be Alec because he's already screwed us
We
over.
tried.
right, forget him. God, I know Michelle struggled with this one too.
So coming into this, you didn't give that any thought at all.
Perfect.
No, I
seemed
didn't.
hard.
I
I
gave
won't
no
worry
thought
about
to
it for
this. I'll come back to that.
Anybody in the whole world that you think would be fun to listen to a 10-minute interview with here?
Other than Alec, who's
Doesn't
your
have to be a
favorite person
runner.
in the
Doesn't have to
world.
be it could be famous runner, ultra runner. You don't care. She's flipping me
I'm
off.
gonna-
Alex's ex-wife, maybe. That would be lovely. That would be uncomfortable.
That would be a great podcast.
Let's come back to that. I'll think about it.
All right, she's passing. Corey,
Have you ever looked at Ultra Sign Up and tried to figure out if you and Alec are the highest ranking Ultra couple?
No,
Ooh. That's a good
no,
one.
but are
You
we?
said you're- I'm imagining that you are.
I'm thinking Chris Vargo and Alicia Shea are
is that a
probably.
thing?
Yeah, they're.
You're gonna have to take them out.
Dominic Grossman and
What's
Katie
that thing they do in
DeSplinter.
Ireland when they like carry their wives on their back for like a 20
The wife carrying competition?
yeah, it's like a 20-yard race. You guys should do like a couple.
We should do that.
Like what do they call those races where you run it together?
Fell race?
Yeah. I don't know what
I don't think
Okay,
that's
we're
what
out
you're
of
talking
time.
about.
Next segment.
All right, well, we're talking with Eric Sherman from DFL Ultrarunning. DFL was one of the first podcasts I found when I started getting into ultra running, because when I found that podcast, he was new to running, and it was kind of neat to hear someone discover ultra running at the same time as me and do some of the same races as me. Eric has had the pleasure of listening, or I don't know, I should say the pleasure, but Eric's listened to the first 2 episodes, so he can give us some feedback. And how you doing, Eric?
Great. Thanks, Scott, and thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, well, and you've had me on your podcast, and I think I'm coming on your podcast next week, too, right?
Sunday night, we'll be recording another one of our roundtables, and absolutely, we look forward to you joining.
They're taking Coomer on the round table, and I have a feeling that shit's going to get real when I'm on there.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I hope so, because what's pathetic about DFL Ultrarunning is we've had about 4 or 5 of our roundtables so far, and you are the only person, including my regulars, who sent in anything about questions that we might talk about. So I really appreciate your involvement in it.
He asked me what kinds of things I'd want to talk about, and I just rattled off a bunch of things that I wanted to discuss, and let's go. Let's get it done. So, Eric, what do you think of our podcast? I mean, you've heard episode 2. Most people haven't. But let's not talk about that one. Let's just talk about 1 and 3. I know the first one, the sound was shit. Everybody complained. But as a guy who's in the business, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How do you feel about it?
Well, I will say that there's probably nothing funnier and ironic you asking me that question, but I appreciate it, and I will give you my honest thoughts about it.
Whoa. Before you say anything, you're a fan of podcasts.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've stopped listening to all other ultra running podcasts. I don't even listen to my podcast anymore. I do listen to like other podcasts, but other than 10 Junk Miles, which I do listen to, I don't listen to any of the other podcasts anymore.
But you used to listen to the ultra running podcasts.
I absolutely did. Yes.
What happened? Why'd you stop listening?
Well, because and it's the same reason that I really started DFL Ultra Running is if I want to hear another story about, Speed Goat Carl or any other top runner or a bunch of runners whose names I don't understand, whose races I can't pronounce, it's not interesting. It doesn't connect with me, and it means nothing to me at all. Unlike 10 Junk Miles, I could definitely appreciate a group of friends sitting around a table and talking about the everyday shit that we deal with in an ultra race.
Right. Well, that's exactly why we started the podcast. I mean, and not to take anything away from the other podcasts, which I love and I listen to, or even these runners that they talk about. And Speed Goat's one of the people that I admire the most. But you're right. I mean, I'm not going to get that much from listening to somebody talk about how awesome Killian is every week. I'm looking for, something to listen to distract me on the run. And you were talking about like Nerdist and other things that you're listening to. And, that does the trick sometimes.
Hey, this is Corey. I have never listened to a running podcast, and I don't think I ever want to. Not even our own.
You're not going to. Do you listen to do you listen to your own? That's what I'm curious.
I have to edit it, so I listen to it about 30 times. And then
So you never will again. And I agree with you, Scott. It's not like I have anything against the podcasts themselves or the runners that are on them. It's just that I have said this routinely, although if you listen to the next episode of mine, I kind of back off on it. But ultra running, I don't feel it's like not a spectator sport in the sense that the stargazing means the same thing to me because I can't see it. To read about somebody who ran a freaking fantastic race is really great, but it doesn't really mean anything to me. But my friends and the people that I know in races that I attend, that means something to me, and I can feel that. So that's the kind of thing I like to hear about, right? I like listening to you guys get together and talk about real stuff that happens to us.
Well, that was one of the things that attracted me to your podcast, excuse me, was the fact that you and Mike are more like me than Speed Goat Carl. So your mistakes, the things that you had some races, you had some problems, you had some heartache, all of those things I can connect with as a runner a lot better than what Killian's nutrition program is for his, hard rock course set record setting performance,
Yeah, or I think as you said, good shitting and throwing up stories, right?
Well,
that's really what we want to get to.
Who doesn't want a good shitting or throwing up story?
What's the weirdest place that you've taken a shit, Eric?
The weirdest. I can't say. I've always managed to hold it to the right spot. It's not the location of the shit. It's the absolute horror of it is what's been my problem.
Oh, the horror.
Yeah. I'm talking about like a howling pain.
Oh, yeah.
And the woods, like being in the middle of the woods with no wind at 110 degrees and having it come out both ends at the same time. That's what I'm talking about.
I've got such
It's pretty impressive, actually.
I have such a good shitting in the woods story that I want to tell right now, but it would take too long.
So, Eric, the first time that I found your podcast, it was kind of a similar experience of being happy to hear about people that were more like me. I signed up for the Bear for some unknown reason. Certainly wasn't prepared for something like that. And so I just did a search in iTunes or in the podcast section and typed in the Bear 100, and your 2-part episode came up. So I listened to both of them and, then told Scott, well, I listened about this guy who finished and I still don't know. And Scott was like, oh, no, he's just a regular guy. If he can do it, you can do it too. And it was motivating in that way because it was like, oh, okay, this is what a normal person, tries to accomplish and how they do it. And so that was really cool for me.
Because that was your Scott, right?
Yeah.
And he finished, was he DFL?
He was. Well, here's the funny thing about that. So a couple of funny things. Scott was DFL. We were there, right? We saw him cross the damn finish line last. And when the results came out, he wasn't last. They put 2 people behind him. So literally, the whole group of us were fucking screaming what the, we're gonna reach out to the race director to argue to get DFL because he clearly was the last one to finish.
Oh, you were angry that he wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. They reported him as coming in third to last, and we were like, no. He was dead last.
And he's on the DFL Ultrarunning podcast, and I mean that would have been awesome. Yeah, we actually have a girl in the Flatlanders that finished DFL at the Potawatomi 100, and I mentioned to her today that if you ever do a call for people that finish last, that I would send her your way because although I've tried and come very close, I've never DFL'd in my life.
Well, interestingly, we wanted to go at some point and reach out to people, so I started sending notes to people. I'd be on Facebook pages and see race reports, and people started getting creeped out by me because they'd get an email from some strange guy going, hey, congratulations on your last place finish. Would you like to come on and talk about it? Unfriend immediately. So I stopped reaching out to people strangely.
Wait a second. So what is it about being DFL that you love?
Well, I would rather see the person that puts every ounce of effort and struggles the whole way to come, and cross the finish line. To me, that's the story I want to hear and I want to talk about. Not I ran, it really felt great, and I had a really good race and everything was good. I don't learn anything from it. I'm impressed by it, but the person that comes in last, I mean, they've done, in my mind, they've done the most work. So, listen, I respect anybody that finishes the race anywhere, but that person in the back of the pack has probably struggled and suffered more than everyone else.
Yeah, I always say you learn a lot more from someone who had a bad day or someone that had DNF than you do from the guy where everything went right. I mean, if everything was right, I don't need to plan for that.
Well, and sometimes the person who's DFL worked harder than, the person who finished first or 10th or whatever. They could have had a great race and finished last.
And now, go ahead.
The really quick story on why I started DFL podcast was more of it was sarcasm. It was bullshit because I was listening to this podcast for about 3 months. It doesn't exist anymore. And the guy would it was a single person podcast talking about his races. And I was like, wow, this guy's interesting. It's really good. And he'd talk about his struggles. And then he ended up he'd get to the end of his race report and he ran, I think, a 19-hour 100-miler. And I'm like, that's bullshit. This guy didn't struggle. He doesn't know what it's like. So I sarcastically put together a podcast. I didn't report it to anybody. I just put it out there and started it and said, if anybody wants to hear anybody who struggles, come on in, because this is real.
And then ironically, more people probably can relate to your podcast than they can to the guy with the 19-hour.
Yeah, like I said before, I haven't listened to any running podcasts, and that sounds interesting to me. I'm going to check that out.
I wouldn't. It's really a terrible podcast. But,
I just want you to know that when I'm on
okay.
DFL next week, I'm not going to be telling everybody, don't tune into 10 Junk Miles. You don't want to listen to it. It's garbage.
So what kind of things do you want us to talk about for future episodes?
Well, feel free to talk about DFL Ultrarunning. That's for sure. I'm a big fan of hearing, frankly, race reports. I mean, I know Scott clearly has a lot of races coming up. I like to hear experiences. I like to hear preparations, for races. I like to hear gear choices. I like to hear training tactics. That's what interests me a lot, because, now clearly, if there's, I also wouldn't mind hearing about you guys going out for a bunch of drinks and somebody doing something stupid.
You should have been here for that.
We've got a guy here that can tell a bunch of those stories.
We had a fist fight in London. We had a bad decision in the, picking up an ugly girl story. We had a lot of things going on before we called you.
Well, they're all running related, though.
Yeah, but what I am curious about, your format's a really interesting one, but I'm definitely curious. So what happens if you have a segment rolling, right? And it's killing. You guys have a real good rapport. It's interesting. You're getting stuff, and then 10 minutes comes up. Do you you're going to cut that off to talk about something like, what?
See ya, bye.
And we gotta go.
I'm kidding.
Thanks for talking to us, Ed.
You still there? You're losing?
You're just having to get a fucking call at the same time. Eric, are you there?
I am here, yeah.
We just thought that would be funny.
Scott just happened. Since we're on the phone now, Scott just happened to get a call right while that happened, so we lost you. And
Well, no, it just went on. I got a message that it was on hold. The last thing I thought I heard was Scott screaming, "Damn it!" Something.
Oh, I just thought it was perfect that the 10 minutes was up in the middle of your question about what we do in the 10 minutes.
When you're ranting about it.
Was I ranting?
No, but that was a good question. And we still haven't completely figured out how we're going to handle that. And
Yeah.
I think guys from Brooklyn, they sound like they're ranting. When it's just kind of like sing-songy. It just goes on and on.
that could be.
Yeah.
I have a lot of pent-up anger. It'll take me years to get through.
Well, we got to get you in the Midwest for a race one of these days too. So
Definitely,
Let's work
but
on that.
it's not going to be to Scobia. I can tell you that.
well, but we got a lot. We have the
we got a
Ice
few
Age.
summer races that are
Yeah,
nice.
we have the
spring
Ice
races,
Age 50. We have Kettle Moraine 100, which is a really good first time 100.
which our guest today won.
Yeah.
Eric, I understand that you're injured,
Congratulations,
but
that's awesome.
when's your next race?
That's hitting again below the belt. I've canceled all my races until the summer.
You're not doing Vermont anymore?
No, I'm out of Vermont. Yeah, I had to drop from Vermont. I could tell you all the races I dropped from.
I think Corey could beat you though, because he signs up for everything and he
what I
doesn't
do.
do any of them.
I'm doing pretty good this year. I have one rollover, and then I have a negotiation in progress.
But are these injury-related drops or?
I think they're vaginal related. Sorry. We have two ladies in the room. That was inappropriate.
Yeah, I'm offended.
Well,
I thought you were talking about me as one of them. But,
no, notwithstanding your comment.
Eric
about
just
your
has
Scott.
long. Oh, that's the beeper.
Again.
Oh, we got a new beep this time.
Well,
All right.
we got your 10 minutes in. I think we can release you to your baseball game.
Yeah, the last time I checked, they were blowing it.
no, they weren't.
Aaron's just sitting here watching baseball on his phone while we're trying to record this fucking podcast.
I had to tell him to stop, and then now when I look over, he hides it so that I can't see if he's watching the game or not.
Yeah, but seriously, I wish you guys luck. I mean, it really is. It's fun to listen to, and you are the only. I'm not even listening to my podcast. I do listen to you guys, so I enjoy it. Good luck.
All right, next, I had the good fortune of being at the Potawatomi trail races and watching Chuck Schultz finish the 200-mile run. And while we were there with his family and his girlfriend, I got the word wrong at the race, his newborn daughter, and all the people were gathered around, I recorded a interview with him. The audio might be a little bit sketchy. You're going to hear the
Come on,
wind
all
and
right.
thing. Yeah. But, next we're going to play that interview for you.
And you will all weep.
You'll all weep. Yeah.
I was weeping.
So I don't know if I was weeping. It's kind of weird because I'm like standing in the middle of this thing and Corey puts a microphone in my hand and says, hey, go interview him. I'm like, all right. So I made it up as I went. Evidently it came off pretty good. I don't know.
That was good. I mean, Chuck ran 200 miles. That's anything he says is going to be like, how the fuck did you do that?
We're at the finish line of the Potawatomi 200-mile trail race, and Chuck Schultz has screeched past it like he was fresh as the morning dew. Chuck, how does it feel to run 200 miles?
Well, it wasn't easy, that's for sure. I don't know about screeching past. I think I was limping up the last hill. And, of course, in these races, things break down, and you try and fix them as best you can. And, of course, that's what happened in this one. So it's typical.
Well, this race is 200 miles long, 3,200 feet of vertical climb, 40 creek crossings. Talk us through what was the process by which you made the decision that this sounded like a good idea?
Well, I'm an expert at choosing things that aren't a good idea. So I think that clears that up.
Well, no, actually, tell me about when you made the decision that you wanted to run this race. What were you thinking? What brought this on? How did it come about?
Well, I'd have to say 2 or 3 years ago, Mike Wolkowitz kind of threw it out there. And, if you say it, you got to do it. So he mentioned something about wanting to do 200 out here, and Brian Gaines and myself said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I wasn't really serious about it. I just figured, hey, if I had something left in my legs after 150, I'd give it a shot. However, the next year I did make a serious attempt at it. It was not an official race, and I did not finish.
So that was 2014.
Yeah.
And how far did you get that year?
I got to 140, twisted an ankle, and then it was on my mind. And the race director's Rich, he, from what I understand, he actually made this race so that I could have an official finish.
Now, this year, it's a 60, how many hours? What was the cutoff?
Cutoff is 64 hours.
So 64 hours for 200 miles, that's a pretty tight cutoff. And with this course, this is a pretty hard endeavor. Now, you said last year it was, I'll do 150, see what happens. This year, you're actually making a serious effort to do something that's extremely hard. Tell me just a little bit about what you did in terms of training and approach to getting yourself ready to run this 200-mile race.
I actually get that question a lot. When you get into something beyond a marathon or a 50, they say, well, how do you actually train for that? And my usual answer is, well, first I have to get in the best shape of my life. And that includes strength training, speed work, hill work, intervals, and also the long distance running. And then the next factor is race specificity. It's been a long night.
Chuck hasn't slept in like 3 days, so bear with him.
Yeah, I slept 3 hours in the last 4 days. So I got some sleep in.
So you did some training on courses that were similar to this course.
On my long runs, I tried to mimic the conditions, and I did come out here and do some of my runs out here as well. But race oh man, you might have to edit that one. Anyhow, you try and mimic the conditions. So in a multi-day race, I was doing back-to-back-to-back during the week, and then also back-to-back on the weekend.
Two other things that seem to have changed since last year. You're here with your wife, and you're here with your baby. Tell us a little bit about that, how that's changed your experience of this race, or how that factored into how you handled yourself.
I want to let Amelia know that
Amelia is your daughter and your wife is Melissa, just so that the listeners know.
Yeah, she's going to correct you and say she's my girlfriend. We're not married. Amelia, I want her to know that if she wants to do something, and even if it sounds crazy to other people, that she can do it, and not to listen to other people. Listen to what you want to do and follow that. And if it's really, really difficult, all the better, because it really is character building. I think it makes me a better man to constantly strive to be better at things in my life.
Now, are they people that you thought about during the race? And if so, what other things did you think about to inspire you when things got bad?
This race was dedicated to my late nephew. He passed away a year ago after my unsuccessful attempt. We found out a few days after that he had unexpectedly passed away. He was in college and he had maybe a month or so left, so it was really a shock. And he was my sister's firstborn son. So it all kind of tied together this year. The start of the race was April 10th, which was the anniversary of his death. And it just felt like I wanted to, it's kind of personal, but I wanted my sister to know that that I would take her pain if I could. So, I'm probably emotional from lack of sleep. Anyhow.
Well, Chuck, I've been with you on a lot of great adventures and seen you work hard and labor through a lot of suffering. I saw you run 410 miles across the state of Illinois. I saw you last year suffering here. Can you compare what you've been through over the last few days to the other things that you've done? You also did multiple Ironmen consecutively. You're one of the probably the most experienced people I know with dealing with pain. Where does this rank in what you've been through?
I would have to say this was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Early this morning, I was real close to dropping. I didn't want to drop, but I didn't know if I could do it. And I think that a lot of times when I get stuck in that position, really what it is I'm afraid to be uncomfortable any longer. And it does take its toll. It's stressful. It's stressful to the body. But when you concentrate for that long of a period of time in a race, it does grind on you. Especially into the third day, I find that that's where I usually start to struggle. And I didn't give in. I didn't give up, and I'm really glad I didn't, because I cut it a little close with the cutoff, but I got it done, and that was my whole purpose of being here. I've had a bad streak of DNFs. So I'm glad that got broken today.
I'm glad too. Thanks for chatting with me. The next segment I have is I wanted to talk a little bit just about podcasts. Part of the reason why I started this was because I wanted to make a new podcast, because as we're going to discuss with Eric Sherman, there's a lot of different podcasts out there, running podcasts, non-running podcasts. I wanted to do something different. And I was just wondering, with respect to you guys, do you listen to any podcasts? And if you do, which ones, and do you like them? And, which ones do and don't you like? And Corey, I don't think you've ever listened to a podcast in your whole life.
Wow.
I think maybe...
That's why I have, audio problems.
Yeah. What do you need to do? You need microphones? A long time ago, we listened to a podcast called The Dawn and Drew Show. There were some people out of Milwaukee, and they were just entertaining. And that was, I don't know, I want to say 5, but maybe 3 years ago, and I've never listened to anything. I mean, I listened to Serial, but that doesn't count as a podcast. It's a
podcast.
Yeah, it's a podcast.
Okay, but that's like a radio show that happens to be delivered via the internet.
But you know what? All of those, Corey, all of those radio shows, like on NPR, they all have their podcast
Podcast.
version.
Yeah, I know.
So that counts.
Okay, so that's the only.
What did you think
but,
of the serial? Because I know a lot of people
Well, yeah,
listen to it.
I liked it. I thought that was quite enjoyable. But other than that, I mean, if I go on iTunes and I look at podcasts and I look at the upcoming or like the recommended podcasts, which ours shows up in now if you go to Sports and Recreation.
Then while we're on the subject, if you get a chance and you're listening to this, go and rate and review the podcast on iTunes. It really, really helps. It doesn't just stroke our ego. It doesn't make us feel better about ourselves. What it does is it makes it
That's
more
actually all it does.
accessible. It puts it on, well, I mean, if it's a good review, yeah. But what it does is it puts it on the front page of the iTunes, and more people find it. And then the more people that find it, the more available it is, and it really helps everybody else out.
Unless you're somebody like me and you look at that and you're like, why would I want to ever listen to any of this?
Well, and that's fine. There are some people I know that, and they've even commented on the 10 Junk Miles Facebook page, I never listened to a podcast before in my life. This was the first podcast
And then we
I
talked to
listened
Eric.
But wait a minute,
and,
Scotty, that was your mother, right? Who
I'm
said
sorry?
that? Wasn't that your mother that said that?
No, my mother nowhere near the podcast.
I think maybe I just need a personal touch for it though, because when we talk with Eric, that sounded interesting. I'm gonna give that a shot now.
Yeah.
It's an interesting sounding podcast.
Did you listen to all of Serial all the way to the end?
Yeah.
And how did it make you feel at the end?
I don't know. Like,
No
it's a good
spoilers.
podcast.
Yeah. Did
I
anybody
listened
else?
to that whole podcast too.
And what did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it, and I felt like the journalist did a great job with it, and it was interesting. For those who don't know, she looked at a case, a murder case, and a guy had been convicted for murdering his ex-girlfriend in high school, and there was some controversy about whether or not he was guilty, and week by week she went through the details of the case and tried to decide if she thought he was in fact guilty or not. It was really interesting.
And along the way, it seemed like he was even more, or
This was on
wasn't even
NPR?
more. I mean, it just kept.
Have you ever
it was a
listened to
podcast. It
Yeah,
was,
you
it was
keep
only
going
a
back and
podcast.
forth. I mean, as a listener, I kept going back and forth. Oh, he's definitely innocent. Oh, wait, no, I think he's guilty.
I really wish I listened to this so I could have something to talk to my cab drivers about.
Well, can I share what my
It's a
favorite
podcast, though,
podcast
it's on there.
is?
Well,
Yeah.
just before
No.
you do, I just want to know, have you ever listened to Serial?
No.
Okay,
Why
me
Serial?
neither.
Why-
Do you do podcasts?
No,
when
because you
run
were
or
talking
no?
about it, and
Yeah,
you
sure.
both had
Yeah.
listened to it. I just
Yeah,
want to know if
listen to
anybody else
Oh,
had.
really? Do you do music when you're running or nothing?
I don't listen to no. I
You just
listen.
do
Nothing.
nothing?
I listen to nature.
Oh, shit.
Well, did you listen
so
to this
deep.
podcast?
She said, but
I
not,
listened to this
but
one.
not while
Did you
running.
enjoy yourself?
I did.
If you didn't
other
know
thing
us,
is-
would you listen to it?
Probably not.
I mean,
I liked it more because I knew you guys. I'll be honest.
So you go no music or nothing when you're running. You're
Right,
just listening
right.
to. You're just
Nothing.
thinking about your day, or
Yep.
wow.
So,
well, I feel like
do
if
that.
you're running and you're listening to a podcast, you could easily get into a scenario where you just like, okay, that's enough, or why is this so long, or why do you just keep talking about that? Which is what's great about our show is every 10 minutes, you're free from the next thing.
Well, you just
You're
reminded
moving on to
me.
the next thing.
I had a weird experience a week ago. I was setting out for a 20 miler, and for some reason, like half mile into it, I felt so nauseous, just horrible. And I had put a podcast on, and I was listening to it, and I had to like rip the earphones out of my head and just turn it off, because when you don't feel well and you're running and you got someone talking in your ear, it is a bad combination.
what was the podcast?
I don't even remember.
So,
but
what
Did you finish your
podcast do you
20
listen
mile
to?
run?
well, my current favorite is called Mortified, and it's really cool. People appear on stage. I think it's something that they do regularly at some stage in New York. And people bring their journals, their diaries from when they were in high school, and they read them. As an adult, they read their teenage journals in front of an audience, and it is hilarious because you can just imagine the things.
Do they pick a random page, or do they pick
I don't
something?
know.
like that?
So one guy was talking about, a lot of them are about their teenage loves. Some of them are about these phases that they've gone through. It's just fascinating and hilarious.
We need that
and-
for like mile 18 or mile 45.
It's kind of self-selected
or mile
group of
80,
people though
like
that are
the-
who's in high school like writing a journal every day,
Well, I don't know every
Like
day, but like
artists
for
and
example,
things, yeah.
I have a box under my bed that contains notes that were passed
Episode 5.
to
So
me
does Shelley.
in high school.
We got to get these
The
notes.
note
This would be
episode.
so
I
interesting.
actually
We
have
could just grab
you know what? I
that
have
shit.
a box of like letters that I wrote back and forth with a girl in like high school.
Yeah, exactly. That's
My mom
the kind
saved
of
them all.
stuff.
She was like
That's
reading them the other day.
oh, that's embarrassing. But that's the kind of stuff they read
Okay.
on the
I thought
stage
people
of
there
this
was, like,
podcast.
journaling or
You know, or it was
something.
like one guy was reading the poetry that he wrote, and he was going through some, crazy phase where he thought he was a poet.
That would be me.
Yeah, so Scott would maybe fit in.
When I was like a freshman in college and I was smoking the marijuana.
Scott had a
and
ponytail.
Thought I
Full
was
on
a big,
man
Yeah,
ponytail.
that
I was
stuff
gonna be like
is
a big,
fascinating.
poet or write. I was real deep and but they're all about girls that didn't like me. That's the whole thing. It's just like, why don't you love me? Why do you just want to be friends with me? Maybe it's because I'm a smelly guy who's writing poems in my.
I think we should all have to be. We actually all have to bring like a piece of
I
something we
think,
wrote in
I
high
think
school.
that's the thing. Episode 5 is like the artsy episode.
We're gonna have a follow up to this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be called. We'll come up with a good title. Everybody bring one thing from your past, one note, poem, or letter.
Okay.
And it's got to be deep.
That
Right?
might
don't
not exist.
Don't just bring one to your girlfriend. Are you going to the dance tomorrow?
I'll have my
Are you
mom
going to?
scan it and I'll read
There you
it.
go.
Yeah.
Aaron, what podcast do you listen to?
Oh, these guys are very. You guys are very artistic with your podcast, and it's all NPR.
I only said one. That's the only thing I've ever listened to.
I do fantasy baseball podcast every day. Several of them. There's like
Okay.
3 different ones.
There's 3 fantasy baseball
Oh, there's
podcasts.
dozens.
Wow.
There's-
Really?
Oh,
Is it in the same way that we're basically just talking about our own running? Is it just like
They talk
people
about-
talking about their own fantasy
no, just
baseball
they,
team?
like rank players, talk about the injuries. What the outlook is.
If you had more time, would you listen to all of them?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, and nobody has more time than him.
Yeah. I do a
No
little,
job, no spouse,
I
no
do a lot
pets.
of what is it? Adam Carolla. He's the number 1 podcast. Bill Simmons. He's a sports guy. He talks about like football and stuff. And it's boring.
Wait, and you listen to them while you're running?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Usually I'll do like a podcast for the first half of the run, and it's amazing because you'll go really slow. Like you're much slower listening to a podcast, and then for the second half, come back, you turn on the music, and you just ramp it, and it's. I mean, I think it's nice because it kind of slows you down and takes your mind off of things.
Unless you're Shelley, and then it's just birds chirping
Yeah.
and wind blowing through the trees.
Shelley
and
just
you're
has, like-
cruising the whole time.
Like you're so confident that you don't. You're thinking about
don't
your
need to
day,
boost
and
this
you're
music.
thinking about like your children.
That's
with
right.
the-
Shelley's
what's
run
there.
is like my nightmare. Just the idea
Yeah.
of being in my head.
Yeah. I had to go off, and I'm just like, fuck!
Right?
I'm like, it's like a 4-mile run with nothing, and I'm just like, ugh! I can hear myself breathing.
I
It's
listen to
terrible.
all the running and all the ultra running podcasts. Listen to Ultra Runner podcast and Talk Ultra, Elevation Trail, DFL, Trail Runner Nation, and then I don't listen to Corolla
No more
anymore.
Corolla.
I liked Corolla, but then I liked his news girl Allison Rosen. She has a show called Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend.
She annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah, she annoys him. But what that show does, there's several different versions. They have a small show on the weekend. They have a long, serious interview, and then they have what's called The Gang, where 4 or 5 people sit around and they talk about shit, and a lot of times it's about nothing, and it's just very interesting because it feels like these are your new friends that you can hang out with. And, Kylie even said to me, wow, I don't know why I like this so much, but I like it. And that was actually the podcast that inspired me to come up with this idea. The idea that you could take your friends running with you. And by the way, if people aren't running while you're listening to this, just hit pause, get dressed, go on your run, bring it with you. I mean, that's the whole idea behind this. But I also listen to comedy. I listen to the Bertcast, Nerdist, which we were talking about. Nerdist, everybody would like, because he just has nice interviews with really interesting people. It's Chris Hartwick, who's the guy who's on
He was originally on the
Talking Dead.
on the MTV dating show.
yeah.
What was that one called?
When do you have time to listen to all of these?
Well, I mean,
When you're running.
well, first of all, you got to remember, I get up in the morning, I walk the dog.
Scott just said like 5 to 10
I walk the
hours
dog
worth.
45 minutes twice a day. I got a commute, which is about 45 minutes to an hour twice a day. Then I run. I mean, I have a lot of downtime where I can
We
listen
should
to
be like
podcasts.
listening to like actual like novelists and things
should.
probably.
Well, that's, I was going to say something. That's the other thing that I like to do.
I'm
Intellectuals.
70% into Moby Dick right now. I've been running up and down the sledding hill
Oh,
in
so
my
you do
town
like
listening to Moby Dick.
It's like book on tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do audible.com
Yeah.
too. Amanda Runyon just talked me into listening to Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
And it's a
that seems
45
creepy.
hour
That's like a
book.
7-hour movie.
Yeah. But Corey taught me a really good trick.
Meanwhile, Shelley, nothing.
The speed up. The
Speed it up. You go one point.
I
you
probably should listen to something.
I mean, Corey taught me that if you put it on 1.5 times
Yeah.
or 2 times,
Or
you
two.
get through
You
twice
can
as
even do
fast.
3 on some books.
It kind of depends who they are.
I don't
though,
like
'cause
that.
It depends
I don't
on
like
the,
that
it,
at all.
It totally depends on the narrator and the book and the concept of the
I
book.
feel like you're cheating.
cheating.
No.
Yeah, I
That's
can't
not true at all.
explain it. When
I am capable of experiencing
The goal is to listen to the whole thing. Why is that cheating?
She feels she's got to listen. I think she wants to listen to it in her
No,
lifetime.
I
She's
can
checking it
realize
off.
that because sometimes you're listening to a book that has like very eloquently written sentences and you hear them spoken and you're just like, I wish I could kind of rewind that and listen to it and think about it a little bit more. What you might do, or you'd underline something and think about it. But overall, you can listen to a book at a higher speed. I mean, your brain can process way more words.
He always
per minute.
does this.
Dude,
When it's time to hit the
then your eyes
beeper
do.
and he's
Beep,
talking,
okay.
he just kind of lets it go.
It's totally cheating.
I do
though.
not.
If I was
approve.
talking-
Keep going for the next 3 minutes about
It's
this.
not cheating.
It's not cheating.
Hit the button.
Everybody can go 3 minutes faster.
I don't approve.
Next, we're going back to the junk in the trunk.
What's the hat you're pulling that out
This
of?
is the Elevation Trail trucker hat.
Douchey trucker hat. Nice.
Competing podcast. And it's probably going to be another question about winter gear, right? Because we just had like 9 of them in a row.
Yeah.
Let's
What
see
do you
what
wear in the winter? Like shoes wise.
Yeah.
We also have some Facebook 10 Junk Miles
Oh,
page.
this is a good one.
What's the question?
The art of crewing and pacing.
Oh my god.
This is a good one for Corey because he just got done crewing and pacing for 20 miles. What's the art?
The art is stepping outside of your own body and your own experience. I wasn't planning on running. I wasn't comfortable with running 20 miles this last weekend. It wasn't even what was on my mind at all. I hadn't eaten anything for the day. I didn't drink any water. You just have to step outside of yourself and just really kind of like take in the vibe of the person that you're with. And there were some points where you can just tell that, oh, this person is getting low on blood sugar right now. Like they need some calories, or like their energy level's good. We can push a little bit right now. So it's really about just like forgetting what's going on with you and just tuning into what's going on with that person. And it can be like the words they say or how they're moving, and you can just really get a sense for what could we do to make their next few miles better.
How many times had you ever paced before this weekend?
I've spent a fair amount of time pacing. I've done
Like 50s, 100s, both?
yeah. I've had a few 20 or 30 or 50 mile pacing experiences.
I need something like that for like my life. The way that you were describing that, like feeling like it's like you have your pulse on
and also like
on their heart almost.
Corey, can you
I
give
was-
an example of a specific incident during this last time of pacing where you felt like you as a pacer stepping in and doing something really made a difference?
Overall, I think not just me. There were a lot of people who were around as the person who I paced came in at mile 80, and we just saw a person who was like done. They were shut down.
She was
like,
done. She was done.
Emotionally, totally unassociated with what they were trying to accomplish.
She would have quit.
And
She did quit.
she
Yeah.
did, and
It was over.
know, and she was not injured. Her body, you could see she was moving fine. There was no like injury going on there. And I think just even that first part of like getting through the 10 minutes of I'm gonna sit in the aid station and just kind of be bummed out and crabby to like, I know you're leaving in 10 minutes, like we're leaving here, and then just kind of figuring out like how to rally people with you and sort of deal with, you know, when you run into people like that, there is there were lots of people who either knew Jen or who didn't know her, and a lot of people are trying to say encouraging things, and it's all just basically like, fuck off, I don't want to hear that. But you just have to like ignore that. And
God, and you know what's fascinating? I just thought about this. Last year, he paced The Walking Fucking Dead too.
Jeff.
He paced Jeff Moss.
So did we.
yeah.
Julie and I had the same experience. Like Julie this time spent 30 miles with Jen overnight, and it was a long, slow night. And by the time the sun comes up, you can kind of get your wits about you and get going again. And I had that same experience with Jeff last year. Then you guys jumped in, Shelley and Alec jumped in to take over for Jeff after I had done like shitty 30-mile night routine.
I remember sitting there last year. I was sitting with Kat, I think, and when Jeff came in mile 90, and someone said, "Here comes Jeff," and I looked at the people and I said, Where? And they pointed him out, and I'm like, that's not Jeff.
He had aged
He
like
had
40
no wits
years.
about him.
He was done.
But
He was-
physically, he looked different. Like
he looked
he
like
had
he was
aged.
70.
We had to practically carry him.
Oh,
This is
But
Jeff.
he
Poor Jeff.
got it done.
This is Jeff Moss, by the way. He's not given us permission to use his name on the podcast.
You did great,
Describing
Jeff.
this looking like he
We're
was
very
dead.
proud of
He
you.
finished. He was
He got
happy.
it done.
Yeah, but I mean, Corey touched both of the nearly last 100-mile finishers 2
That's
years
what I'm
in a
there for.
row.
I feel like another thing too is, I mean, Jen was. This is even related to Jen. I just think letting the people you're with know that they're doing a good job, because it's hard to know that when you're so far into it. And when you see somebody who's like fucking running at mile 93, like that's pretty badass. And just remember to let those people know that that is not something that a lot of people can do. And I think that helps too.
Like Aaron, I had 2 experiences with Aaron. We talked about it, I think, on episode 1 or episode 2.
Probably 2.
Aaron, the first time Aaron paced me, he made a point of letting me know how slow I was going. The second time Aaron paced me, he kept telling me how fucking awesome I was doing.
Yeah.
And there's something about hearing that
learned
you're
it.
doing awesome that makes you feel like you're doing awesome.
Yeah, you have to be a very good liar.
Yeah.
You do,
Yeah.
for sure.
But
You have to
it's-
be
I mean, how
honest.
much is it lying? I mean,
No, it's
you're at
flat
mile
out.
95 or something. Like, if you're still moving forward, it's not that much of a lot. Like, that's pretty fucking badass.
Yeah, but that's like a general.
Maybe a different excuse.
Maybe when I
Different
ran over the
experience with
bridge at the end, but there wasn't much of what I was doing that was awesome in the last 7 miles of solitude. That was,
Finished.
But you're doing it for me.
yeah, he kept saying, "You just got to do this for me. And just give me just a little bit."
Scotty, it's not for you. It's for me.
Yeah. What's the art of pacing and crewing, Shelley?
Corey really summed it up pretty well. I mean, this weekend, Alec came in around mile 50 and said he was done with that race. And he laid on the picnic table and felt sorry for himself for a long time. Until, who was that little kid, Zach?
Oh, yeah, Zach.
He is so cute.
Oh, I didn't see him there.
Yeah, he had dropped out at 40, I think, and he was walking over to Alec,
Medical.
and I
He
just
had a
said
medical issue.
he did, and I told Alec, I said, you better sit up right now because that kid's walking over here, and I don't want him to see you looking like this. Get up, and he did, and I said, and now you're gonna get your ass out there, and I'm gonna meet you in 2 hours, and you're gonna finish this thing, and that sometimes you just have to take charge and put the hammer down and say, this is what you're going to do.
And I think that's a really interesting thing that I've seen happen a lot of times in ultras is you'll have like a person who's associated with a group of people and everyone sort of gets bought into they're done, they're tired, they don't want to do this, and then another person can come along and be like, you're getting this done, this is going to happen.
Right, I
mean,
right.
like it will change the whole thing.
Look
Yep.
at the Jen DeSalvo this weekend. She had her mom, she had her friend, she had her boyfriend, and there was a narrative that she's fading, she's dying, she's not,
Right.
she's not gonna. And then you and Jen DeSalvo are not besties. I bet she's not even in your cell phone. Corey shows
She's in my
up
cell phone.
in his jeans with his headphones and says to the family, "I'm taking her. I'll get her," and he just takes over and gets it done.
Sometimes you need that, though. Someone that you're not close with. Someone that is just going to be neutral.
And that's what's
just,
so interesting about what you and Alec do is that you guys, it's hard when you're close to somebody because you have a different emotional interest in taking care of that person and just making them feel okay.
Does he ever look over at you and just say, "Shut the fuck up"? We're gonna
No,
keep
it was
running."
also like,
No,
so-
I actually do that. And I mean, especially this weekend, I shut off all those emotions. And it was like we were just racing. I mean,
Wow.
we weren't even running, we were racing. I mean, I was pushing him and
Awesome.
I mean, I was like cracking the whip for 40 miles.
I think the one thing that both of you said.
So he
that-
was keeping up with you.
what both of you said that I think is really important is getting out of you and getting into them. It's a golf club that some people just don't have in the bag of, I'm gonna think, what would Corey need right now? What would Corey want? What will help him? What might he be hungry for or thirsty for? How can I motivate him to keep moving? Because I had that a lot when I crewed and paced the run across Illinois. So that was a week, 410 miles, 4 guys, and it ended up being 2 guys at the end. But Chuck, that finished the 200 this weekend, was one of them. And another thing that this is going to sound like a really weird thing, but it's like a pacer tip. After spending a week together, what the hell are we going to talk about to keep him engaged? How do I keep his head in the game? Because he's falling asleep while he's running. He at one point told me he was just going to sleep run, and he's on like the highway.
Sleep run.
Oh, no, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. I'm just like, we're going to die out
That
here.
sounds like something I would say to you.
So my question is, how do I get this guy to wake up and get engaged? And the only thing I could think of, and it worked, was, how'd you lose your virginity?
Right.
Now, it seems like a weird question, but when you wake up and you start thinking about what was that moment like, and your brain starts working and your heart starts working, and all of a sudden he was back up and we wake and we had a nice long conversation. But so that's like a pacer tip. If you're ever looking for something and you just need to reach.
Is he give us permission to use his name?
Well, I didn't tell the story.
Okay.
Well, he gave an interview.
He said his name.
He was
though.
like 3 segments ago.
Oh, okay.
And he was a big part of episode 2. So I mean,
Right.
I don't think he's.
I think he
gonna
actually shared part of that story. How he lost his virginity on episode 2.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna try and keep that between us.
Yeah.
I will not be asking that question to Alec. That's
Yeah,
not
that
a good
would be
tip.
Oh God, no!
That'd be creepy.
That's past. You don't want to ever know that stuff.
Although I gotta say, I did ask that question later on to a woman, someone who I'm close with. I'm not gonna say her name, and then the story really sucked. And it was like a downer.
Standard.
So
Yeah.
it was like,
That's
some
probably how most of them are.
bad car behind the alley. You know,
Homatosis, is that the word?
and- what?
Homatosis? It sounds something that's not right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what that word is.
What's the bad breath?
What are you talking about?
What's the bad breath?
Halitosis.
For some reason I thought homo would be more funny though.
No.
The
All right,
virginity.
hit the
I
buzzer.
don't understand what's going on.
All right, next.
I'm really
I can't
tired.
believe we did a whole grab
I know,
bag
I
on
can't.
one question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to wake up,
Yeah.
man.
I've been up since 3 a.m.
Yeah, we are tired. How many more sections we got left? We got 2.
2 more.
Sorry, I know
We're
I
at my-
haven't had much to
We're
say.
at 8 miles.
What are we at time wise?
8 miles.
Really?
Yeah, we're
I
banging
got
these
3
out.
left.
Bang. Oh, we're actually at 9 miles because Chuck is 8 minutes of that.
Yeah, we got 1 left.
We're somewhere in there. We got 2 more.
2.
Great.
So the next one we're going to talk about is diet and nutrition.
Ah, perfect.
This is going to be the most boring segment of 10 junk miles ever.
No.
Prove me wrong, Scott.
Prove you wrong.
It's
Well,
good.
one of the things that I've been wanting to do, because I need to get into shape for Angelique's Crest, is I need to lose a bunch of weight. Because as Aaron will tell you, and he's probably the expert on this topic, losing weight just makes you faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like instant.
Yeah.
It's better than any training.
Right. And one of the things that always kind of comes to me is that I had this conversation once with, I'm going to move this microphone, it's going to make a noise, I'm sorry.
turn it up. Wow.
Matt Condren, he had told me that, like I was giving him a time of a marathon or something that I had run. And he said, if you lost 40 pounds, that'd be like my marathon. That'd be a 3-hour marathon
Right.
without any additional training.
Yeah.
And I don't want to let my pacer down because I'm gonna spend about $600 to
Yeah,
fly
I
our
can't
ass out
go
to
all the way out
California.
to California and not run.
So what I decided to do is one of the things that worked.
When are you starting pacing? What miles do you get to jump in at?
Right around 50, 52.
52.
Are you going to do the whole second half?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. When I went from 270 to 220, I did it by cutting out carbohydrates and cutting out sugar. And one of the podcasts we haven't talked about that I've been listening to, it's Vinny Torich. He's called the Angriest Trainer. He's got a book out, LA Confidential. He's a trainer for the stars. So when Tom Cruise needs to lose 10 pounds for the next movie, they go see Vinny, and Vinny gets him in shape. And one of Vinny's big things is no sugar, no grain. That's a big philosophy of his, and all the recipes. He has a Facebook group for it called Vinny Torich's No Sugar, No Grain. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. And right now I'm on day 2, and fucking sucks. And Aaron tried the Atkins diet. I think way back when.
Way back when. Yeah, there was like a girl.
There was
Something.
there was this
Yeah.
girl who said that she would go out with him. She would consider going out with you if you lost weight.
What? Who says that?
Bitches and hoes. That's who says that.
Yeah, she was a little. Did you ever go out with her?
Was there
I
even
think
any
so.
context for that, or was it just like...
I don't remember that. I think that was implied. I don't think it was ever directly said.
Maybe it was like someone told you that she
Subtle.
told them
Yeah,
that
something.
the problem was when
I
you
was
were
kind of big, but
chunky.
So I'm doing Atkins.
So he did, and you were miserable.
I mean, you can't run more than like a mile.
Yeah,
Like you completely run out of energy.
yeah.
You just have no energy.
Well, and no sugar.
How was the date?
There was no date. I like homatosis breath. It was terrible.
Halitosis.
Halitosis.
Yeah.
How much weight did you lose?
Like 10, like nothing, like 10 pounds.
I don't remember a drastic weight loss coming from that.
I just remember. I remembered after like 2 weeks of just eating bacon and chicken, that like I literally could. I would run a mile and I would have no energy. I'd just be completely energyless.
And at some point, you just decided maybe I should just get drunk and lower my standards, and I don't have to lose weight anymore.
Just put the goggles on. Have some fucking carbs.
So
for Scott, instead of a woman, it's a race that is motivating
That's a
him.
lot better motivation, probably.
I think so, because it's going to be
Now that I'm
hot,
older and I
and it's going to be
understand.
mountainous, and I think that if I lose 40 pounds, I think it'd be easy. You know, I mean, I know that when I went from 270 to 220, I felt like, holy shit, I can run. You know, it's easier, and I think I would have that same experience again. But you know, like Aaron said, it's hard. I mean, it's hard adjusting. You go, you know, like I walked into Walgreens to get a snack today, and you look and you say, or like you go.
You can't really walk into Walgreens and get a snack.
Sure you can. They got bananas there.
Well, they do. They got bananas and they got
Even
nuts,
those
There's sugar in
are
bananas,
and they got
right?
cheese.
I don't eat those bananas.
Yeah.
Or
Like a dollar a piece.
I know about that.
like I go to Starbucks to get a coffee, and you just look around. You're just like, the
Yeah.
entire
Fuck
world
yeah.
is driven by sugar and bread.
Well,
and
to be fair, like so I lost 65 pounds over like a year.
Wow.
And it wasn't like I didn't cut out sugar or bread. I just
Right.
kind of eased back on everything.
right.
I think the sugar bread thing, in my mind, is just because then you're forced to eat low calorie things, like vegetables. I mean, I think it's just a calorie thing for me.
Well, I mean,
You know what I mean? And sugar bread has the highest calories.
sure. You know, and one of the things that the angriest.
Which was
What?
sugar bread?
Sugar and bread have the most
No,
calories.
they don't have the most calories. Scott's actually going to be eating things that are really calorie dense. So that's
Well,
why.
not as dense as.
No.
as
Let's
bread
take an
or sugar.
avocado, for example. That
But
is
it's
very
calories
calorie
that
dense.
burn off quickly.
Yes.
And your blood sugar
Your body
goes
just
like this.
Oh yeah, that's all true. But your body only knows calories.
So think about this.
No.
Think
I
about
don't
this.
think
believe,
that's
I
true.
don't believe that.
If your body takes in sugar with
I lost 65
fiber
pounds
mixed
eating
into it,
fucking shitty food all the time, but I just ate less of them. That's it.
Right, but also keep in mind everyone's metabolism is different. Okay, that's one thing. You know, and the other thing is,
Aaron, have you considered a diet book?
I know. It's like
I
2
lost
pages.
65 pounds eating shitty fucking food.
Just less of it.
well, and you know
That
what?
could be a thing.
That's not true because he ate shitty fucking food, but he calculated the calorie to
Yeah.
the, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to. Yeah, like
I mean-
you take out like mayonnaise and cheese. Those things are high calories. You know.
Not why you.
I think Katrina's finally woken up. Somebody who's never had to worry about calories her whole life.
Who's Katrina?
It's twice.
Cat,
Aaron,
get
my
name
name
tags
is
in here?
Katarina.
cat,
Yeah.
jump in here. What are you laughing about?
I mean, it's just hilarious the way he's describing this. I have nothing to say on this topic. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Diet and nutrition?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I eat bread. I eat pasta. I
win
eat
races.
cookies.
What's
I
your
eat
secret?
chocolate.
Well, that's the same thing Aaron said.
Shelley,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shelley's very serious. Shelley.
I'm
you
tired.
you're off sugar.
I am. And
Wow.
because I think that it makes, because I'm an addict and I eat too much of it. And then like I said, my blood sugar drops and I don't run well.
Yeah.
And
No, I
found,
feel that.
I mean, I found now that like I cut it out back in December and I really feel a huge difference, like being able to push myself harder
Yeah.
and the bottom doesn't fall out. So, and I really think it's because
Although you
my
did
diet
have the
is
cookie
better.
today.
She like a couple bites.
Yeah, I had a couple of bites of that cookie.
But-
So, like, you eat fruit, but not processed.
like candy.
Yeah.
That's my big thing.
Here's what I found with sugar. If I balance it out with a piece of meat, good to go. I'm serious. Like get some
Like
protein
at the
on
same
there.
time.
Yeah, like,
kinda
it evens it out.
So you have like a chocolate coating over your steak.
Like I'll do a chocolate croissant with 3 eggs. You know what I mean? Like you got to balance that shit out.
Well,
Otherwise, because your blood sugar spikes, right?
I think fiber helps with that too.
one of the
though.
things that the Angriest Trainer podcast that they talk about, it's the same thing that you're saying with the sugar. That, you know, on some level it's calorie math. That's all fine and good, but that's not everything. You know, the other thing that he talks about is your insulin levels and the up and the down and the up and the down, and that's not good for you. It creates cycles of hungry and sweet plus, you know, fat plus sweet. So, you know, his theory is that evens out, and I think it's true because after 2 days, I mean, Aaron will even tell you, when you sit down and you know, what I had for lunch today, I had a hamburger patty, I had a chicken patty, and I had stir-fried vegetables. And you feel kind of full, and then, but you don't have that sleepy thing.
Yep.
And then a half an hour later, you're not craving more food.
Yeah.
But what he also cuts out is the bread, because bread really just is candy.
It is.
The bread that we eat has a lot of sugar in it. It has a lot of, you know, and the same thing's going to happen. And if you want to talk about the calories in the food that you eat, you know, look at a Subway sub, which is like the healthiest junk food. I mean, whatever that means. But the majority of the calories are in the bread. You know, if you took out the bread and you just ate the mill, well, that's nothing. You know, that's maybe like 200 calories.
I did eat a foot-long Subway before pacing Alec this weekend.
Yeah. Well,
It worked.
Eat fresh.
And to be fair, that's one of the things that I reached out to the people on this Facebook group and through the podcast about was, I have a 100-mile race coming up in 2 weeks. I have a 50-mile race coming up 3 weeks after that. And much to my surprise, I had 3 people send me instant messages. Here's what you can eat. Here's what'll work. Here's what'll help you if you need to unbonk. These are the foods that I like to eat when I run. One guy did bad water. These other guys, they did 100-mile races. But the cool thing is, and they both said it, you got to unbonk somehow. So if you're on this run and all this shit's not working, then just eat a gel. During your race, it's not going to destroy you.
What do you guys do when
I
you
had
bonk?
Monster.
Monster?
Monster
Nice.
at Potawatomi. I've never really had Monster until then.
Well, that's just like pure
That was awesome too.
battery acid.
It was good.
Yeah.
I always stick with the
makes
Tony
my teeth hurt.
Cesario special, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Are you guys do you know when your bonk is happening?
Oh, yeah.
And you're what do you do?
I cry. No.
Well, it's a funny
Quit.
thing because
Sit
you
down and
can
cry.
you can get some sugar or you can get some not pure sugar things that take a little bit longer to kick in, but it's pretty easily
Just a
remedied.
gel.
But at the time, you don't know that it is pretty easy to remedy.
Yeah. You just take a gel and keep moving.
That takes us to the last segment, where we're just going to talk about what's up between now and the next podcast. Do we know when the next
We'll also
podcast
record
is?
the
Yeah.
sound of
May-
Shelley
Should've said
sleeping.
goddamn calendar.
May 1st.
Yeah.
May 1st? Is that still on?
I'm tired.
I might not be here, but you guys can do it.
I don't know how we do it without you.
I think we're all bonking here. We need some
That's
gels.
is that the Amanda
we're bonking?
Runyon one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Amanda Runyon's going to be thrilled to find out that you might not be here for her podcast.
Oh.
Or
I'll
she'll be
label-
really excited because we'll have this thing up and running in like 20 minutes.
I'll label all the way.
Dig.
What are you doing between now and May 1st, assuming that that's the next podcast?
I'm trying to find a race because I was going to do Quad Rock, and it's the weekend of Mother's Day, and Leadville is the weekend of my wedding anniversary, and I've been in Leadville for the last 3 years, and I don't think that being gone for Mother's Day would be good.
Kinda
And
fucked that up,
signed
didn't
Yeah, I signed up for Quad Rock without realizing that was a thing, being the same weekend as Mother's
Corey,
Day.
what's the deal? Because you missed a race with
Too
me
much,
because it
too
was
much.
Father's Day.
Yeah.
Do you own a fucking calendar? I don't understand how this keeps happening to you.
They have calendars on the internet now.
I just want to be doing stuff at all
Internet's on
times
the
as
computer.
much as possible, and I lose track sometimes because there's too much.
We got to get you the Google calendar. We'll just
it.
put these dates in.
When are you trying to find a race for? What
The
kind
weekend,
of dates?
any of the 2 weekends before May 9th.
There's that bunkhouse race up in Wisconsin. Okay, you want something
That sounds like
more
like a
epic
no.
than that.
That might be good.
It's local.
Is it a kettle?
Yeah.
might
There's
do that.
I think a 50K and a 30K.
I want
30K, there you
to
go.
do 50 miles with at least 5,000 feet.
Okay.
That's my goal.
I gotta get that.
Then you probably wouldn't do that there.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I mean, Ice Age has that much.
No. I said
it
just
has
like
8,000.
4,000 feet of climb for a 50 miler.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm
No,
not
I always
kidding.
thought it was 8,000 up and 8,000 down. It's 8,000 net.
Yeah,
Oh. No, that's not right.
it is right.
Right. Once again, this shit's on the internet. You guys can look this up.
Yeah.
I can pull up my Ice Age on
So I'm trying to
Strava
find a
and
race.
show
I'm ramping
you.
up. I'm thinking next weekend might be 4 hours in the bowl if anybody is free to hang out in Mount Prospect and run around the.
Next weekend?
And this
Flooding
is
hill?
related to your training for Colorado 200?
Yeah, I just feel like it's a good time to do a 50 mile.
Why don't you come to Indiana and run 50 miles with me at the Indiana 100?
I'm planning on doing that, but that's in 2 weeks.
Oh, so this weekend you're running around the bowl.
Yeah. Oh. I might have to travel next weekend for that, but...
All right.
I feel like there's a holiday coming up that he's going to have to bonk out on.
Well, Aaron, don't you have a big race coming up?
Oh, yeah. I'm wearing my jacket tonight.
He's got his Boston jacket on. We already
Prepping.
put the picture on the Facebook
This thing
page.
still has the
blinded
tag on
when
it,
he
by the
walked
way.
in
I've
the
never
room.
worn this.
How many of those jackets do you own?
2. I'm going to buy a third one.
You've never worn it?
Nope.
Why not?
Crisp. Looking for just the right time to wear it. Tonight was
fucking
it.
crisp.
Yeah.
So what's the date of Boston?
It's Patriots Day. It's a holiday in just Boston. Monday the 20th.
So that's a week from Monday?
It's a week from... It's like in 6 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be back the following weekend. You're going to come to Indiana?
That's not good.
Well, wait a second. I want to ask about Boston. So, what pace are you aiming for?
I'm shooting for a 3 hour. That's my goal every
So,
year.
what is that per mile?
I think it's like 6:56s or something.
So, for that beginning part that's all downhill, are you going to still try to stick to
I'm going
that?
to try to stick to 7-minute miles for that.
So, you want to go slower on the downhill part so you don't kill a quad.
Now, all that being said, because all I did was run hills in Boulder, and I got this altitude thing, I'm feeling super confident. Cautiously
what's the goal?
optimistic.
What's the time you want?
3 hours.
So 2:59 something or 3 hours?
Anything under 3 would be fine.
Under 3.
But somehow I feel like I might just PR now.
I feel like in episode 2 you said that you didn't think sub 3 was ever going to be possible.
I know, but
it's so great to hear you say
Episode 2, I was in tears, if you remember that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was...
So, that training in Colorado really made a
Well,
difference
it's
for you.
only the last 2 days when I've come back here at lower altitudes, and I'm just I'm shocked at how, like, easy it is to run.
Could be the chocolate covered croissants too.
Yeah. I'm high on sugar. I mean, I'm high on oxygen in my blood.
Were you doing as much lattes when you were in Colorado?
My aunt has a machine. And I was doing like 3 every morning.
That was the inspiration.
Oh.
He was like no coffee the first 10 years I knew him.
Forever.
He's just
now
discovered
he's like
the
a latte pusher.
He's
Yeah.
a fanatic.
I was going to get you one, but then I thought...
He was like trying to force me to
yeah.
order a latte.
Kind of, it was a little awkward.
I mean, Shelley had
Yeah.
her first Monster this weekend. Why can't you try the latte?
Yeah.
Was it a good experience, the Monster?
It was delicious.
Yeah.
She's a sugar addict.
Could you
though.
feel the energy while you were running? I've had a
I
couple
actually
of those.
could.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were
I was
cheating?
like, wow.
Did you feel like you
When-
were
A
No.
little bit, yeah.
That's how I feel when I
Maybe
do-
that's why I could run so well.
When I do a gel during the race with caffeine,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm cheating.
When we did the turkey trot, the first one, Shelley came in and paced. I swear it was like 1.7 miles into her fucking pacing job. We stopped at a gas station. She's
Wasn't
on an
even-
ice cream sandwich. And she's like eating like she's at the mile 88 station.
That's all she was thinking about.
And then we start running, and she, and she was just like,
That was after the McDonald's cappuccino.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she had McDonald's cappuccino.
That's how I am, and I get the latte. Though.
She was the chattiest.
I
It was
wouldn't
perfect too.
shut up.
That was when I heard the Alec story for the first time too. I heard a lot of these stories.
Nice.
Kat, what are you gonna do for the next week?
Taper time.
Taper, yeah.
Yeah, I
taper?
guess. I need to run a few times to make myself a little bit more confident. I don't know, my legs haven't
Confident?
been feeling. Yeah, my
You're a
legs have
McNaughton
been.
winner. You're an international
You can
beer
just show
mile
up
champ.
and get it done.
3-time 100-mile
Okay.
finisher.
Oh my goodness.
I remember the
confidence.
first time I saw or met Kat, I was pacing Jeff at Potawatomi, and Kat's just like casually jogging about through the night, like it's no problem. It's like 2 a.m. She's like, "Hey, what's going on? No problem. It's all good."
She have like a winter coat on.
I don't know. She just looked like it's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I've had like all this tightness in my legs and
Like IT bands.
I don't know, like the calves and the hamstrings, just a lot of tension. And so I'm hoping that
You should go for a massage.
that kind of
before
goes
the thing,
away.
man.
I know,
You should
but
go
I
to
don't
my
want to
healer.
spend the
He does
money.
a little pre-race Graston
You
flush.
should go see your healer.
You should
for
definitely
the-
get a massage.
Science.
Yeah, it probably is a good idea. But
I'm
anyway,
going
yeah.
for one
so,
tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When is Boston? Is it this weekend or
Monday.
next? Oh, it's.
I'm getting a
that's
massage
right,
from
yeah.
like a dude.
Shelley, have you
tomorrow.
ever
Yeah.
done a couples
Yeah, good.
massage?
No, I
Is that a
haven't.
thing?
No, not for us.
I didn't know if Aaron was trying to like.
Scotty and I have even done a couples massage.
That's a good. You know what?
Yeah.
I told that story on the trail this week
Yeah.
too. That was
Yeah.
a good story.
You tell it now.
So massage.
Probably.
Okay, maybe I'll try that. Although I'm
Spend the money.
Okay.
Pamper yourself.
Okay, maybe.
In Indiana, what,
kids will
what,
get
do you,
it-
what are you thinking? You just
they'll get a big
want to
race
finish? You
somewhere.
just want to
Remember
have a
we
good
had
time?
this talk last week. I'm going to try to get a PR. Yeah.
So my 20 under 30:41,
No, under 28 something.
28, whatever your kettle time was.
Yeah.
guy's thinking
Maybe,
this
I don't know. I think I'd like to do 25 or 26 hours. I don't know if that's possible, but I'll try.
I was thinking I was going to try and run 15-ish minute miles and just try and run 15-minute miles.
And that, what does that end up?
Do you have a pacer
Well,
cut?
that would be
No,
4
I don't
miles
have
an
a
hour.
pacer.
25.
Keep on
That'd be
pace.
25 hours and then you include breaks. It'll be a little bit longer, but that's just what I'm shooting for. You know?
What is that? What's the 15 come out to?
That's 25 hours.
25.
Yeah. So I'd like to do something
Possibly
like
the
that.
easiest math there is.
So it would probably.
I can never, like, especially in a race, I can never do that math.
No.
Yeah, I think if I set out that way, I'll probably be like 28 hours. You know, which would be really that'd be a PR for me. You know?
Yeah.
But basically, I just want to finish, and it's a good course for me to have a nice.
Where's this in
bounce back day.
Indiana anyway?
It's,
I have no idea.
Chain Lake State Park.
Where's that?
It's about it's by Albion, which is towards Fort Wayne. It's maybe about 3 hours from here.
It's so bad
Okay.
because I have, my friends are always in these races with me, so I do not even pay attention to where I'm going. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
somebody
running
drives
the
you.
Indiana 100, and people ask me, where is that? I have no idea.
So
I'm
you're
just
like-
going to get in the car.
But it'd
the
be
mooch.
nice if Aaron could come down and do some interviews. He could do random finish line interviews, just like pick random people. and
That's in
interview.
2 weeks.
April 25th.
25th.
So I will not be able to run that.
Why?
My legs will be, they're in pain for weeks after
Yeah, but
Boston.
you could crew and support and do interviews.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I won't be able to get inside what you guys need. Like,
You will.
okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Just wear that coat at the race, and then everyone.
Yeah, you definitely.
Nice!
And just like
I'll wear the new one.
Immediately connect to everyone.
Yes.
What color is the new Boston
I don't
jacket?
know. This is about as obtrusive as anything that they've
That
ever
looks
made.
like the colors that I wore in 3rd grade.
This is something
It's
that you wear when you go
bright
hunting.
Orange,
I had a pair
Yeah.
of sneakers that
turquoise.
were that color.
Yeah.
What?
You know what though? I feel very confident crossing the street in this. Like, everybody sees me and they know what the fuck is up.
Well, that's the
The
most
guy is
important
fast and he's bright.
All right, everybody. That's going to be a wrap on episode 4. You can check us out on Facebook at 10 Junk Miles. We're on Twitter at 10 Junk Miles.
Review
Reviews and ratings
on iTunes.
I know it's a
5
pain
stars
in
would be
the
fine.
ass.
I mean,
know it's a pain.
Just put any stars.
Fours
I
would
think,
be-
I think just
I mean, feedback is good because even though we're probably going to get rich off of this, it's really nice to hear that
I mean,
someone's
pretty
listening
much.
to it.
Ken Rain
And
thinks
much
we're
are
really
already.
rich off
Just
of it.
not our exes.
Yeah, just not our exes.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that it matters to people and that they're listening. So leave a review, rate the podcast, check out the DFL Ultrarunning too. Eric was a nice guy for stopping by and talking to us. And tell us what you want us to talk
I've
about
got
next
one
time.
last thing to say.
Sure.
I'm sorry that I called you Katrina twice tonight.
I accept your apology,
Thank you.
Aaron.
We're on like episode 4. We should have the names down on this, right?
We need.
who are you guys?
I don't hang out. I don't run with her every day like you do.
Well, maybe we need to have a 10 junk mile run. Maybe
I don't have any friends, Scotty.
Let's-
And it's because I can't remember people's fucking names.
let's back it up like a half an hour next time, or better yet, while Corey's setting up.
Yeah.
Run.
For the
We'll go
3
for a
hour
run.
during
And
the
then maybe I
setup.
won't be falling asleep during the podcast
Another,
recording.
like 20 miles.
So we'll do like a 20 miler, and then we'll get back here, and then
Yeah,
we'll be
yeah.
all set up and ready to go.
Done and done.
Beautiful.
All right. Thanks.
See you guys next time.
Bye. So you're
phone's
gonna raise your
upside
hand
down.
when there's 9
We're
minutes? When we're at 9 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn your phones upside down.
I thought we were doing 10 minutes. Oh, we're getting a 1 minute warning.
Yep.
Take his phone.
Turn that up.
If you're gonna lick it, hold it up. If you're gonna lick it, hold it up.
That's gonna be one. That's gonna be one of the ones. Alright, stop. Stop.
What's
If
that
you're gonna
from?
lick it.
Shelley, you gonna make it?
Wake up, Shelley.
Yeah, I'm here.
You need some coffee or something? Check.
No.
Everybody talking to the mic loudly.
Check,
Hello.
check.
Hello. Oh, it
Yeah,
smells.
we're all on.
So does mine.
Way better.
Mine doesn't smell like
It
anything.
smells bad.
The pantyhose.
God damn it! Why is this thing?
Why is you guys? Why are you smelling your
Post that
microphones?
pantyhose picture, too.
I can just
See, now you're
smell
doing
it.
It's weird. Mine doesn't smell like anything.
I don't like it.
Okay. Every time I click something else, that goes away.
Why
Smells
do we
good to
have-
me.
Well, I don't know if I really trust your standards.
Don't.
It smells good to me.
That's gonna be one of the lines too. It smells good to me.